Nick Carter from Backstreet Boys.
Shout out to Boy Band Break.
It's Chris Kirkpatrick here. Shout out to your podcast, Boy Band Break.
Everybody, this is Howie D, and I'm listening to Boy Band Break.
Hi, Ashley Parker Angel here. Huge shout out to the Boy Band Break podcast.
This is Brad from LFO, and you are listening to Boy Band Break.
Hey, what's up? This is Jacob.
What's up? It's Dan.
What's up? It's Trevor.
And it's Eric Michael, and it's time for Boy Band Break, baby. Let's go!
Bam, 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 bam.
Welcome back to Boy Band Break, where we encourage you to take a break from your day and join us in some boy band conversation. As always,
my name's Chinzia.
I'm Sophia.
And I'm Lydia, aka Mama Lou.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Welcome back.
Diane is off this week. She had some things to do, so the three of us are here. Yes. So, Happy New Year, everyone. New year, new, same us.
Yeah, pretty much,
yes.
Happy 2023. Let's get this going. Hopefully, I've seen those
Please
memes.
do not jinx us. Yes.
It's like, don't come bursting in, just like quietly come into.
Yeah.
I also saw one where it had 2021, 2022, 2023, and then they crossed out the zeros and then added them up.
And it was 666.
And it was 666. So they're like, oh, God.
And it's actually a zero.
There's a little bit of heat.
It's fine. Everything is fine, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's another meme, right? Everything is fine.
Oh, yeah, everything's on fire.
Yeah.
Fire, a dog. Yes,
yes,
for sure.
That's like the millennial meme.
Yes, that's
this is fine.
That's my life every day. This is fine.
Exactly.
Yes, this is fine. Okay, so we have a little bit of boy band news that occurred.
Yeah.
And is occurring.
Some boy bands did some New Year's things, like O-Town and I want to say Drew from 98 Degrees did something in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Our friend Deli was at that one, so the O-Town dressed up. They looked all snazzy in their little meet and greet pictures. So yeah,
damn it,
that was very nice.
Yes,
boo.
Yes. So, anyways, fun stuff. I don't think any other boy banders really did anything for. Not gonna. I just remember this now, so I don't actually have it anywhere. But coming up in about a month's time in Florida, Joey Fatone and I want to say Darren and Chris are doing some sort of like karaoke thing where you can like sing with them and stuff. I saw that on there.
Fun.
So lots of fun things going around. But
yeah.
So I guess we're gonna go to the not fun thing first.
Yeah,
the sad thing. So I will share. So the day that we are recording this, which is the 11th, I am pressing the wrong thing again because I always press the wrong thing.
Click the tab.
Click the tab.
And
okay.
One.
So Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys has released a new song today. It is called "Hurts to Love You." So right here, is the tweet showing up?
Yes. I just can't see because I'm on my phone.
Okay. So it says, we all have someone in our lives who no matter what they do and how bad it hurts, you still love them. So I worked it out the best way I know how. #hurts to love you. So this is a new song and music video dedicated to Aaron Carter, who we all know passed away about a month and a half ago. Obviously Nick's younger brother. So he put his feelings into music. So there we go. So the official
into a song.
Yeah. So at the time of this recording, they don't have the official video. There's a little teaser video, which you can kind of see. It has some old footage of Nick and Aaron, and it's just like Nick looking sad and stuff. So that
it looks like Nick is watching the clips.
Oh, okay. So yes,
I think that's what
that's what it kind of looks like. Yes. So
yeah.
I don't know why it's not playing again, but
you have to press the play button.
Okay, I do need to do that. It's on pause. So anyway, so that song came out today. Nick previously has said this is like one of the most important songs he's ever written. Wrote it from the heart, all this stuff. So it's about obviously Aaron and like the life that they had and dealing with like the addiction and stuff. So speaking of that, there is an event coming up next week that, hello?
Hello? Yeah.
Sorry, it just made a weird noise.
It was
me? Okay.
Okay. So see here.
Yes.
Okay, go to the tab, my love.
Yes.
Okay. And press pause because it's, just close the tab
altogether. I thought I did close the tab.
You did not. There we go.
Okay.
You stop sharing the tab.
All right.
Okay, so now we're going to
Now
share
it's
this
not
tab.
making a weird noise. So
Because
yes. So
it's
now I'm
closed.
going
All
to share this other tab.
Got it?
So there's an event
This one?
that is happening.
Yes.
It is in LA. It is happening Wednesday the 18th. So it's called Songs for Tomorrow, a benefit concert raising awareness for mental health, inspired by the life of Aaron Carter. So Angel, which is Aaron's twin sister, and Nick are putting this on. It's actually hosted by Angel and Lance Bass because it's at Lance Bass's club, which is Heart WeHo. So there's going to be performances by Nick and O-Town and other artists. I believe Ryan Cabrera as well. So there'll be a bunch of artists there. So I did buy a ticket for this event. I have not bought a plane ticket yet. So hopefully,
Oh, wow.
fingers crossed, I can figure all this out and go because it's in the middle of the week. So Sophia and Diane work. Lydia's busy doing her own thing, so she cannot come.
Go because my hubby would be mad if I go because he likes to have me close by.
Spend time together.
Yeah,
So,
it's-
but for those of you who are not able to make it out there in person, they just announced that they will be streaming it live. The website is called Veeps, Veeps. So New Kids on the Block actually just held a concert on Veeps 2 days ago, I guess, on Sunday.
Yeah.
So they had like a Q&A, and then they did their last tour.
Mixtape.
The mixtape tour, they showed that on this channel. So I have not used the streaming service. However, I did look into it. It is a streaming live thing, so you have to watch it live. So we are Eastern time period. So it is going to be at 11 p.m. So a bit late for some people because some people might be asleep because it's a work night. It's a Wednesday.
Yeah.
But if you are awake, it is available. And it is, I believe, around $20. When I looked, it was about 30 Canadian. Yeah. So if you do
I might
it,
do that then.
and if I'm there, you might see me in the crowd.
Oh
So
my God.
check it out.
Yay.
I have no idea how big this club is. I don't know.
Well, hopefully it's bigger than the concert we went to see O-Town.
Oh god.
Okay, yes,
The
that one in
biker
Niagara
club?
Falls. You know what? It would be
Biker
nice
gang?
if it was that small because then I definitely get to see everybody.
Yeah.
That's true. That's
But
true.
obviously not good for the charity because they're raising money. So anyway, so that is happening on Wednesday, January 18th. Nick will be performing Hurts to Love You. So that will be happening. And then other boy bands will be playing. And then all the money they are raising is going towards a charity that I cannot think of. I think it's called On Our Sleeves.
Yes.
It's a children's mental health charity. So there you go. So that's where it is going. So hopefully it can help other people who are suffering from mental health issues. So there you go. So that is that. So
That's
if we
very
do
nice.
go, we will, or even if I don't go, I'm going to probably go. But if I don't go, I will watch it. So we will have an episode next week talking about this concert. So looking forward to that.
You were so excited. So I hope you're able to manage to go.
Yeah.
I'm like 99% of the way there. I just,
Okay. Because I know the flights will probably be expensive. So hopefully you can
It
find
actually
something
wasn't too
cheap.
bad. And apparently through my workplace, I actually get discounts. So I was like, all right.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Like,
Yeah,
okay,
take
I can spend on
advantage.
hotels. And then I was like, do I reach out to people I barely know and see if they want to share a hotel room with me? Or do I just get my own hotel room and say F it, right? So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at now. I feel like LA is not New York City, so I don't feel comfortable sleeping on the streets. So,
That's true.
Yeah,
guess
so I'll figure it out. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, we only went one time to LA. So, of course.
Yes. Have we only been once? I think
No,
we went
yeah.
for the
Nice.
Backstreet Boys documentary. When did I go? Oh, I went with my brother years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we went. That was part of when we turned 30, right?
Yes, when you and Diane turned 30, we went to celebrate their 30th birthdays by watching this Backstreet Boys documentary. We did an episode, probably like 10, 20 episodes back about it. Show 'em What You're Made Of documentary. So that was an interesting thing. And Eric Michael Estrada from O-Town was there. So.
Yes, one of our favorite stories.
And Jeff Timmons from 98. Oh, I wonder if anyone from 98 Degrees is going to come to this event.
Maybe.
Maybe not. I'm thinking because it said members of Backstreet Boys and members of NSYNC. So I'm assuming no one has confirmed
a member
anything.
of NSYNC.
What? Yes, I know.
And
but
Nick is a member
it
of
said
Backstreet.
Nick and members. Lance and members. So
I'm guessing AJ.
My guess would be AJ from the Backstreet Boys.
Probably AJ.
Yeah.
And my guess
Joey?
for NSYNC would be JC.
Justin.
Oh,
Justin is not coming.
Joey. I was thinking also
Wouldn't it be
Joey,
amazing
maybe.
if he did, though, right? I think it would be amazing.
Wait, certainly would be something.
Shinzi's getting a phone call.
No, I have ended the phone call.
Okay,
So.
great.
Anyways, yeah. So anyways, what is what it is. We'll see how that goes.
And maybe Joey, no?
Joey, I know Joey usually, does he live in Florida? I don't know. I was hoping for Chris, but yeah, you never know. Anybody is good. So Nick and Lance are going to be there for sure. So those are two of my favorite boy banders. So,
Yes.
and obviously O-Town. So,
And for the next thing that we're talking about, you'll see Chris in a few months.
We certainly will, because here I am presenting the next screen of what was also announced today.
What?
We got some 90s con.
Woo woo!
Celebrity guests.
Ooh.
Those are the same people from last time. But wait,
there it
hello!
is. Woo!
We have Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys.
Wow.
AJ McLean from the Backstreet Boys.
Whoa!
Joey Fatone from NSYNC. And Christopher Allen Kirkpatrick. Also from
Woo! Middle naming him. What?
Yes.
Woo!
So my husband and my boyfriend will both be there.
Oh
So
my
there you go.
goodness.
There's also some other interesting people. So Steve from Blue's Clues is going to be there.
Yeah, I like
the guy
him.
from Double Dare, he was the host of that show.
Yeah.
Mario
Woo! Say by the bell.
Glossier from Saved by the Bell. James Marsden was there last year. He's from the Goofy movie and Hocus Pocus, Boy Meets World. Some other Hocus Pocus people.
Sabrina the Teenage
Sabrina the
Witch.
Teenage Witch people. So they were there last year.
Melissa Joan Hart. Whoa.
Yes, Melissa Joan Hart.
Yeah.
Caroline Ray, Beth Broderick, Jenna Lee Green, Nate Richard. So, lots of people there. So there you go.
Lots of fun.
They're still going to announce many more celebrity guests. A lot of people are hoping, since the guy from Double Dare is there. So those who didn't know, because we lived in Canada, so we obviously didn't see it, but we had a satellite dish, so we got Nickelodeon. Double Dare was like a game show.
Yeah.
And it was like super fun. And then they would go against each other, and then there would be the slime and all that stuff. So Diane and I went to 90s Con last year. We have a 2-parter episode. You can go check back about 50 some odd episodes ago. And yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I got slimed, and it was delightful. So lots of lines. Last year was their very first one. Joey Fatone was supposed to be there all weekend, but then something happened, and then he was shooting something, and then his flight got canceled. And so he literally just showed up the last day, and it was like, it was a bit of a scramble, but we got him in, so we did get to see him, so that was good. But Chris was not there, and I was really hoping that he would be there, but he had just gotten out of the Celebrity Big Brother house, and was not in the state of mind to go to this. So
fair.
AJ is always delightful.
Yes, absolutely, and of course Nick too.
Nick, he's our number one on this podcast.
That's right.
So yeah, so if you want more information, that's the number 4 entertainment.com/90scon. So these people also do a Christmas con, and Hallmark stars for the Hallmark movies. So there was a new Hallmark movie that came out this year. It was like 3 men and a
baby. I love that one. So
it was
good.
really good, but it had like 3 of them, and they were brothers and stuff. And then they did this like ridiculous dance.
Oh my gosh! Did you see the video of it?
So at Christmas Con, they actually got them to recreate this dance and do it, and it kind of went viral.
It was very funny.
Yes. So like
I loved it.
We've gone to a bunch of cons. Some cons are very sketchy. The one we went to in Chicago, which I can rewind con. But these people actually know how to put on a convention. So I was genuinely surprised last year, and it went really well. It was a long lineup to get in, so that part probably could have been a little more smooth, but it was their first year. But yeah, no, it was a good convention. So if you've never been to a convention, it's one of your most cost-effective ways of meeting your celebrity people, and you get to spend more time with them. For example, like a Backstreet Boys meet and greet, you're there for what? 30 seconds, smile, take a picture, leave. Here you actually get to talk for like a little bit, and you get your selfies, and you can touch them, and others, they're not
and
like
photo ops and
stuff.
Autographs.
Yes, photo ops. The photo ops are fun. last year I took a really fun one with our friend Deli. I ran into her and she was just going by herself. She's like, join mine. So she's like hugging Nick and AJ, and then I'm like pulling on Nick and trying to pull him away. It was pretty funny. So there's a lot of it's a fun convention. So
Yeah, it looked really fun.
it had a lot of 90s stuff. So yeah. So anyway, so that is
It's
also
made for us.
made for us. Speaking of 90s, my guys, look what else just came out this week as well. Busy week, beginning of the year.
See?
All right. So one of our favorite boy banders has come out with another podcast.
Woo!
Bass from NSYNC. It is Frosted Tips with Lance Bass.
And
So,
this is the podcast he was talking about last year, I believe.
he was supposed to be doing something with Nick Carter. Last year, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was this exact thing, but it was also called, the top secret project was like Frosted Tips. So I think it was like more like, oh, we're boy bands and we're going to give advice or something like that, which this kind of just morphed into a just a fun boy band
Podcast.
So it says, their ballads and bops got you through your teenage years. Now let your favorite boy bands guide you through adulting.
Woo!
The ultimate boy bander and host, Lance Bass, will help us navigate the ups and downs of parenting, marriage, and everything in between. Each week, Lance Bass and his husband, Michael, will be joined by our biggest boy band crushes. Step by step, we will relive decades of boy band nostalgia by chatting with your all-time faves each week. From New Kids to BSB to 98 Degrees, and of course, NSYNC, no boy band left behind. So let's go in one direction and have some fun. Because we should never say bye, bye, bye when you got the right stuff.
Look at them go. Wow, look at that, eh?
Great job. So another thing about this is that it is an actual, I'm not saying that. So Lance had his own podcast during COVID times, and it was called the Daily Popcast. Great. Go check that out if you want to hear it. That was like literally every day they would have an episode out, and it was good. It was a lot. There's like a couple hundred episodes of that. So speaking of a couple hundred episodes, we also have that. Check us out. Online, Boy Band Break.
BoyBandBreak.
So there you go. Please subscribe to us because we're getting ever so close to our subscriber count on YouTube. So
It's true.
we would appreciate you if you did that. So anyways, so that was a really good show. They talked about pop culture and things like that. And then on the Fridays, Lance's husband, Michael, would do like reality roundup. So he would talk about the reality shows and things like that. So whatever. So they have interviewed guests, and this particular, their very first guest on Frosted Tips was on the Daily Popcast, and it is JC Chasez from NSYNC.
Ooh, he's still alive?
And apparently, this was like all of what the fans wanted his first guest to be was JC Chasez.
It's because
So he delivered.
Yes. So it says, this I promise you, Lance and JC Chasez together. Everything you want to know about Lance, JC, and NSYNC. Lance and JC talk about NSYNC from inception to today. They address the extremely hot topic of a potential NSYNC reunion, as well as JC's love life and when he will release music again, plus a Q&A, 25 years in the making. There you go. So this is available pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts. So
similar to like us?
Similar to us.
What?
I know. I'm talking about boy bands just like us, Lance.
And we have a link tree with all our links in there.
Yes, so there you go.
It's a Kofi, so you can go to more things.
There you go.
I know, like, I understand it's very meta, a podcast talking about a podcast, but I feel like this is good content, so this is why we're doing it today.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Boy band content, it's all the rage.
We're just gonna do a quick for us, if we can, recap of hopefully this will not be longer than their podcast, which was the case the last time we did a Lance podcast when we did the Danielle official Boy Meets
Pod Meets World.
Yeah, he was on that.
So,
I forgot.
You know, Lance just loves to speak. You know what, Lance? Come on our podcast.
That's right.
Exactly.
You know?
Okay. So, Soph, do you want to start with your notes, or should we start with our notes? Like,
Sophia did not write notes.
I didn't write any notes, but I listened to the whole thing.
Okay, perfect. All right. So
I also listened to the whole thing.
All right,
Lydia
notes.
listened to 95%.
This is okay. Hi. Yeah. All right. Here. Do you want to start?
Like me to read? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So this obviously is Frosted Tips, episode 1 with JC. So Lydia says this is very meta.
Like I just mentioned.
No podcast.
You got it.
You put little peanuts with a question mark. Why is that?
He calls us little peanuts.
So that's what Lance does. Lance is always, if you listen to the Daily Popcast, he would call us little peanuts.
Is that it? Was he sponsored by a peanut company at the time?
He was not.
Okay.
He's always been, I don't know, that's just his little endearing term for his listeners.
That's the fandom, right? The fandom has a name.
Peanuts.
No idea why. If you know why Lance calls us peanuts, feel free to pop a comment.
Usually it'll make
You're
sense.
such a peanut.
I don't know if it's like the peanut gallery. I don't know if it's
Could
that.
be.
It could be that. I
Could be
believe
that.
he explained it once, but you just go with it. That's what
all
it
right.
is,
We're all
so.
peanuts.
That's
okay.
true.
So it's so as stated, it's Lance and his husband Michael Turchin. So it is pop culture. So they did have the Daily Popcast before. This was an interesting thing. So the very beginning, it wasn't with JC. They were doing like an intro, and it sounded like not the greatest quality because they were recording it from their iPhone. He said,
That's so funny.
so they were talking about the whole Frosted Tips thing. So they said that they were inspired by the Frosted Tips, and Lance was like, "Oh, only I had Frosted Tips," and Nick Carter, and then Michael was like, "Yeah, no, lots of people had Frosted Tips back then, like it was a thing." And then they were talking about Soren from Aqua.
Yeah, that was cool.
So Soren was obviously the not bald one, the blonde one with the spiky hair.
Yeah.
And then Lance said that he was, first of all, his half inspiration, but also he had a crush on Soren,
Yes.
which I think is very entertaining. I don't know
Yes.
why. I just feel like Aqua is so much older. I don't know if they actually are, but it just felt that way.
They are.
I don't know. But I was a big fan of Aqua, and they obviously, over the years, for those who don't know,
They have a classic song.
so Lena and Renee dated for a while, then they broke up. Then Lena dated and married Soren and had kids with Soren, then divorced Soren.
Oof.
And then, but the three of them still toured together. So,
God bless.
God bless. The redhead, oh my God, I can't remember his name. Klaus is no longer part of Aqua, but
Poor
the other three
Klaus.
are. So I think that was his own choice.
He did?
No, he's still fine. He
Okay.
played the keys
I know.
and stuff. I think he just got married and moved on with his life.
All
so.
right. He's like, listen,
Probably
I don't
didn't
want to have
want
sex with you.
the drama of the thing. I don't know, but I've seen Aqua a bunch of times.
Fair.
United, it's lovely. They are lovely and fun. So anyway,
It was cool that I'm like, Lance knows who Aqua is? Oh my God.
but they were popular around the same time.
I know, but that doesn't mean that you know them.
They know everybody.
Yeah.
Didn't Joey date Lena for a period of time?
No.
I could have sworn he did.
Maybe it was just the rumor.
Maybe, but I will look into that. Not right now, obviously, but yes.
Do you want me to look into it while I keep reading then?
No, I'm sure.
Because I feel like this is going to haunt you
It's
forever.
not gonna haunt me, but
Okay,
I will
good.
look.
Okay. So then during the German album, Lance had orange hair with a greasy comb over.
Oh, sorry. Can I just say one thing?
Absolutely.
So when they were talking about in the intro, they're like, we really want to talk about the Mickey Mouse Club with JC because it seems like nobody wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to be embarrassed. So he was like really harping on that because he wants to know more information. So I thought that was funny. Yeah.
It's cute. It's totally cute. Yeah. So then what happened? Okay. So then, the voice note at the beginning because he had a hellish day because he was flying everywhere. I'm like, oh, poor rich guy. It's so terrible. So then, mostly talking about boy bands, pop cultures, and JC is a unicorn.
Yes, because we hardly ever see him.
Yes, and they said, "Oh, we're unicorn hunters." I'm like,
Because Lance had a show called Unicorn Hunters.
I guess didn't do well.
I don't actually know. I never watched it. It was like a business show.
I know that they
Yeah, I
had their
didn't
own
watch it.
point, and I'm like, yeah, Natty, you're not really interested. Did you find any information?
No, it's talking about Joey dating Pink, and I was like, what?
He did it, Pink?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay, you keep looking.
But it's not showing it.
Like
Maybe
said,
he just had a crush on Lena
Mickey
from
Mouse
Aqua.
Club. And then they were talking about, what was it like being a teenager working at Disney, right? So so they're recording at the iHeartRadio studios. And then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna talk about everything from parenting advice to what to put in a hot dog. Give us your advice." I'm just like, "What the hell? Why are you asking for unsolicited advice from strangers? You nut!"
And I was like, their kids are almost a year old. I'm sure they're fine. They don't need parenting advice.
And then they took like a teeny tiny break, like it was like baby, and you're just
Okay,
like,
but when I listened to it the first time, there was an ad during
Was
that
there?
part. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Did you listen? Was there an ad when you listened, Sophia?
It was kind of weird, but I think it was an ad. I was just like,
So
is this
it was an
supposed
ad
to be
about-
like this?
Astrology is the ad that I heard. Is that the one you heard?
Yeah.
A guy in India, and he didn't believe.
Yeah.
Like, astrology in India is like secondhand, like it's like smoking. You get secondhand astrology, and then it was like a really. But like when I listened to the podcast, that commercial came up 3 times.
"Oh God."
But when I was listening to
I
it,
tried one.
there was no commercial at all, and I was like,
I think there was like some sort of like at the beginning there was like some sort of like Southern Rancher coffee commercial or
"Oh,
something.
see, I didn't have that." Interesting. So the
No, I just heard that one commercial and then nothing else after. I just went straight
Okay.
through.
So
Yeah.
random.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
Maybe because I listened on Spotify. I have no idea.
so did I. Yeah,
Sounds
that
good,
sounds-
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Did you want to take
No,
over?
no, no.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
We're at the turkey turgin. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Okay. It's first of all, it's Turkey Turchin,
Okay, I don't know.
because his last name is Turchin. And the reason why he goes by Turkey Turchin is that his feathers get ruffled a lot.
Yeah.
So if you never listened to their previous podcast, obviously Michael is gay, as is Lance.
What?
But
Okay.
he is kind of he's more of like a sassy gay,
Oh, okay. I see.
and like a tell it like it is, or like if someone is pissing him off, he's gonna go on a rant. Like, he's one of those, which is hilarious, and he's delightful, but he can get a little salty for sure.
Okay.
So they were saying this to JC, and JC's like, "What? Why would you? Yeah, I've never heard him called Turkey before. Like, blah, blah. Like Michael is such a sweet guy and puts babies to bed and does all this other stuff." He's like, "You're telling me that you're like," he didn't say bitchy, but essentially yes. And then they're like, "Oh, sometimes yes." So, and then they were talking about, "Oh God, we're like 5 years away from a midlife crisis," like because they're in their 40s.
Yeah.
And then Michael's like, "I'm not in my 40s," and then. So then this is my favorite part. So then Lance is like, "You're like a week away." He's like, he's like, you're 36. He's like, "No, I'm not. I'm only 35. And Lance is like, "You're a week away from 36. And he's like, "How dare you not know when my birthday is?" And then Lance was like, "Today is the future," like type thing. And then it just reminded me of,
Oh my God, I'm Lydia.
of Lydia. Every time we recorded, like, because sometimes we would record a podcast like 4 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, "Oh, today is so-and-so." "No, it's not." And Lydia gets confused every single time. And I was like, "Lydia, this episode's not airing today. It is airing 3 weeks from now." And you're like,
Oh my God, that's great. We love you, buddy.
and smile and nod and obviously not know what we're talking about.
No.
And that's literally made me laugh out loud. When
Yes, same. Yes.
I was like, "Oh, Michael is the Lydia of the
That's
show."
so cute. Yay.
That's great.
Yes.
Very cute.
Oh, too funny. So anyway, so they welcome JC on the show. So Lance is like, "I'm an adult now because I have kids," and JC's like, "I don't have kids, and it's wonderful," or something like that. So it was. We're like, "Yeah, JC for the non-parents."
Ooh.
So then they're like, "Oh, this is our first podcast. We're going to have all these boy band. It's going to be all boy banders." And then JC's like, "I'm the George Washington of this podcast." And it's like, "I don't understand. He's an old man." And I was like, "I'm pretty sure George Washington is the first president."
First president, yes.
Yeah.
That's what he was kind of paving the way for the future people.
Yes.
So nice.
Yes. Which, by the way, we do know who is on next week's episode. So follow Frosted Tips on Instagram. And they actually have a question. Jonathan Knight from New Kids on the Block is going to be on next week. So if you have any questions, make sure, well, I'm sure it's already closed by now, but keep an eye on there. And I guess they'll just tell us who the new artist is going to be, and then you can just ask questions. They didn't have that for JC because this was the first one and it was kind of a surprise. So they were just like, "We're going to do this like interview style." So yes. And
Fun.
Lance made some sort of joke about losing Nick Lachey's phone number. So 98 degrees, ha ha ha. But yeah, so gotta say, I'm very impressed that they're actually with iHeart. So they're actually in the studio
Smart.
and they have like backing behind it, because when they did the Daily Popcast, it was like literally in Lance's house.
Yeah. And
Granted, a lot of part of it was COVID-y time, so understandable. But it's nice to see that like they're getting recognition as like on a national kind of level there.
The thing is, like in you know, the business, in the entertainment business, is sometimes you got to do little shitty gigs in order to get to the big gigs, right? So he proved that he could do a podcast and he could pull numbers. So that's probably why iHeart's like, hey, here you go, here's a studio.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
Yeah.
So yes, good for him. And then
Sorry.
Then Michael was talking about how like everyone is obsessed with JC and want JC, and he'll be doing like a live and be like, oh look, here I am with my puppy, and they're like, have you seen JC? Where's JC? And he's like, whatever, right? They're like, is he still in your tree in the backyard? Because I guess they made a joke several years ago that JC lives in a tree in their backyard. So he's like, people won't let this go, like whatever. And then they were talking about how they have all their Christmas trees and all that stuff still up. This I didn't know. I didn't know that JC was born in Washington, D.C. Did you guys know that?
I didn't know. No.
Yeah, so he was born there. He lived in Maryland. Then he was talking about how he's shy, which is true. He's more of an introvert, so whatever. So.
It's weird as an extroverted person, it's weird to see an introverted entertainer. You know what I mean? It works, right? I mean, because like think about Ryan from Serial Joe. He was introverted. Right?
Haven't mentioned Cyril Joe in a while.
I know, guys. It's 2023. We had to mention him.
See?
Cyril Joe sighting of the...
Exactly, yeah. I mean, even like PewDiePie, like he's a big, humongous YouTuber and complete introvert, right? So it's just like, you're like, how? But I mean, it works though, right? It just, it's something, it's a combination you wouldn't think worked, but does. Yeah, so it's cool.
So JC. And then he was also saying that like JC lives his life, he just doesn't publicize his life. So he doesn't do the social media thing. He doesn't have to tell people where he is all the time. He just goes and he enjoys the moment and he lives in the moment and talks to the people and stuff, which really is a good way to live.
That's very Gen X
nice.
way to
That's
live.
not the way we live.
No.
We're like, hey, look what I'm doing right now. Oh, hey. Hey, like if you check on our YouTube page, we did a video of us trying 22 sauces
from Guy Fieri's restaurant.
Guy Fieri's chicken restaurant, Chicken Guy. So
Fun.
we had the chicken nugget thing with BTS.
Yeah,
we did.
It was an hour of that. So
as millennials, we live online, right? So he's from a different. He's not a boomer. He's definitely a Gen Xer, right?
I think.
Didn't he have a Twitter in the beginning?
Yeah, but like. I'm saying that like our generation tends to live on the internet more than the older generations do, right? So
yeah, true.
He doesn't really relate because I think he's older.
Okay, so he's 46. He was born in 76.
Right. Yeah. So.
Oh my God. There's a part where they make a joke about how much older he is than Lance. Would anybody want to guess how much older than Lance he is?
3 years.
3 years.
Oh, okay.
So it's not that old.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Anyway, so yes. So JC's kind of like he doesn't really care about letting people know everything. So that's why it seems like he's quiet. Hiding under a rock or but he sees Lance all the time or he goes things all the time. So he just doesn't make a point to be like, hey, here I am, right? So,
yeah.
Understandable.
So that makes sense.
Know. Good for him. It almost sounded like he was kind of shading the rest of us who don't do that, but I was like, whatever. Awkward.
It is what it is.
Yes. So then they asked who JC's top 3 entertainers are. So he said Gary Barlow. Mark, you wrote down?
He just said Mark.
And then he was just kind of like talking about, so he didn't really answer the question. He was just saying how like kind most celebrities are. Like they've all been nice to him and stuff. I think that probably has to do with the fact that he himself is a celebrity.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if he was not, then they'd be like, oh, leave me alone.
Right, exactly.
True.
But
it's like rich people like loving other rich people. You're like, yeah, it's because you're a rich guy.
Yeah.
But good for him, I guess.
So then Lance was asking him what kind of music he was listening to. So what I found entertaining about this part is that he remembered not only his first of everything, but also his second of everything. So he started like with a Fisher-Price record player, which I thought was cute because we also had that Fisher-Price record player. So he's like, I used to have the book with the record, which we also had.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, Peter and the Wolf was my first record. My second record was Michael Jackson's Thriller. So it's just like, and then
He had a good memory. I was like, wow.
He really did. And then he was talking about a cassette tape. I can't remember who. So he had like somebody else and then somebody else. It's not on there. And then he had his CD was this and then this. Like it was just like two different, like totally different like things. Genres and things like that. So I thought that was kind of entertaining. So then he was talking about his first concert, I believe, at that point.
Oh, sorry.
So his first concert was En Vogue. And then his second concert was Red Hot Chili Peppers. So basically the point of this segment was him saying that he has a very eclectic taste in music.
Yeah.
That he likes, pretty much anything.
He likes a lot of things, yeah.
Yes. And the Red Hot Chili Peppers was his first concert by himself without parents.
Yes.
So that was like, whoa, I'm a teenager. I could go to a concert. So yeah. So then they started talking about like, how did JC come to be on like Mickey Mouse Club and all that stuff. So JC started doing talent shows with his buddies, and they were actually dancers. So they started winning these dance, and he's like, oh, I don't want to sing in public, but I guess he started like singing along to the songs, and they're like, what? Sing louder. And then so he started like singing and dancing, but he was still kind of like good enough, whatever. So then so they started winning the talent shows and stuff like that. So then there was this like hilarious moment in which I believe Lance said, oh, has it always been your dream to be an entertainer or something? So he's like, yeah. He's like, what was your dream? And then Lance was like, I'm from Mississippi. We don't have dreams.
Oh, yeah.
And then, like, it turned
and then he spelled it out?
So then Michael's like, yes, when you're in Mississippi and you close your eyes at night, it's just blackness, like darkness. And then, so then JC starts like screaming as he's like, people from Mississippi have dreams. MISSISS. I can be on it. You can dream, you can do it. And then Lance is like, well, if I can do it, anybody can do it type thing. So like, it was just really funny that they were just like shitting on Lance. And I was like, yeah, it's good. So anyway, so JC's, saw a newspaper article that they were auditioning that Donald Duck.
Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck.
Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. That Disney was casting for, I guess, a play or a movie or something for Newsies. So Newsies is like a musical. I have never seen it. Have you?
No.
Have you?
Nah, I've heard about it.
I believe it's about a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Selling newspapers. I don't know. From the olden times. I don't know if we.
Yeah, maybe.
Like, you know what? That's
a good question. What the hell is Newsies about?
What is Newsies? Newsies is a 1992 American historical musical comedy drama filmed by Walt Disney, directed by blah, 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 blah.
In the music, homeless New York City newsboy Jack Cowboy Kelly, played by Christian Bale, so that now makes sense. Befriends two newcomers to his trade, brothers David and Les Jacobs. When publisher Joseph Pulitzer, like the Pulitzer Prize, sets new rules to make it harder for the young newspaper salesman to make a buck, the boys go on strike. Brian Denton, played by Bill Pullman, a journalist who's sympathetic to their plight, gives them some tips in public relations, and the newsboys battle grip the city.
I have no idea what that is, but wonderful.
Anyway, so it's about kids selling newspaper in the olden days.
Oh, back in my day.
Yeah, they have like the newsboy hat.
Yeah.
And stuff. Anyways, when he went to go audition, he was either too young or too old for the things they were auditioning for. But they said, hey, next door, they're doing auditions for the Mickey Mouse Club. So the Mickey Mouse Club had actually already been out at this point. So this was like a revamped one. So I don't know. He never really said if he actually watched the other seasons or not. But he remembered like the 1950s version with Frankie and Annette. And then he totally messed up Annette's last name, which I'm not even going to try right now. And he was like, did you just call her Annette Fettuccini? Like,
oh my God. Yeah, that was funny.
So that was pretty funny. So they did that. So they were talking about that. So he got in with the Mickey Mouse Club. It was a blessing. The people were always like, the guys that they were working with, like, remember how lucky you are. Like, this is like, you're doing like a big thing right now. So he got his
Take the moment in, enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. They're like,
Yeah.
this is really cool. So so he did his first music video because Lance was like, oh, what was your first solo song? And he's like, I don't remember, but my first music video was Love and Affection. He did it with some girl named Maylin. Or something. Okay, I just want to point out something right now.
Yes.
For those listening that are not Canadian.
Yes.
We're Canadian.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did not get the Mickey Mouse Club up here in Canada, right?
No, we did
Sophia,
not.
we didn't get the Mickey.
No.
So, like when NSYNC and Britney and Christina and everyone's like, oh my God, they're all from the Mickey Mouse Club. We're like, we never saw any of this. So, like Carrie Russell, like, so we're like, yeah. So we like spout back the information that they were on the Mickey Mouse Club. But back in our day, they didn't have stuff online that you could choose. Like, oh, I'm just going to go on YouTube and watch this Mickey Mouse Club footage. Although I'm sure they probably have it up now.
Nah, with copyright.
Because back then, Much Music had everything, but not that one. They didn't like replay
Much
it.
Music played music videos and didn't really play.
Big Papa needs to renew his Disney Plus membership.
He did.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Maybe he just kicks me off.
I don't think he kicked you off.
Okay.
Did you? Okay. Anyways, doesn't matter. I didn't even think of looking on Disney Plus to see if it's.
That's
on
like
there.
the only.
I don't think it's on there though.
Yeah, don't they have everything?
I don't know. Anyways, so, long story long, we never actually watched. We knew of its existence. We knew about the Frankie and Annette 50s version. Apparently, there was a version in the 70s. I don't know who was on that one. I guess they used to do it every 20 years, so they've missed the mark because this was the 90s, so it should have come out in 2010. JC, they said they did some online thing.
I thought it was like really cool. All those people and Carrie Russell.
Yeah.
Because when Felicity, when Felicity came out, it was like, wow, she's from the Mickey Mouse Club.
So this was like a big deal. So like for us, when NSYNC came out, we're like, oh wow, cute boy band, this is cool. But we weren't like, oh my God, it's JC and Justin from the Mickey Mouse Club.
I know, right?
Whereas other people, like our friend Lolly, when NSYNC started coming together, because she was a fan of the Mickey Mouse Club, that's how she kind of knew them and kind of got in with all that stuff. So anyways, long story long, we never had the pleasure of the Mickey Mouse Club. We never had TRL here. We had our own Canadian versions of these things. But when people are like, don't you remember that iconic moment? We're like, no, we don't, because we did not catch that up here in Canada.
I'm sorry. We were not rich. We didn't have American money. Like American satellite money.
Like when we had our satellite dish, I feel like that was more when we were in elementary school. So we had like Nickelodeon. I remember watching Nickelodeon. I don't remember watching Disney.
No.
So like,
you probably have to pay for Disney. That's probably why. And my dad's like, I'm no better for shit.
We had this giant satellite dish. So we had
remember that crazy man who used to put it up?
Yes, and then they had to put a code in or something. It was like a whole big thing. But that also alienated us because we did not have local channels because we had a satellite dish. So the kids in school would be like, oh my God, don't you love Bucky O'Hare or whatever? And we're like, we don't catch that, so we don't know. So it was like we had a weird view of.
I think because Dad wanted the Italian channels. I think that's why we got the satellite dish, right?
But this was like the big ass satellite dish, not the little ones. Like this was like here. And then when it finally died or whatever, our neighbor turned it into a basketball net. It was like it had to like cement it into the ground.
I think like bees started living in it.
Well, that's one use for it.
Yeah, God bless.
Anyways, that has nothing to do with anything. No. So JC was whatever, he did his thing. He started going to Dr. Phillips, which was a special school in Florida for performers. So
I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. Dr. I'm like, is this like Dr. Scholl? Like, is this for feet?
No, it's Dr. Phillips. So it's like a lot of the celebrities did that. So it was kind of like, and then he was also talking about how they had on-location education.
Yeah.
So Dr. Phillips was their main school, but then they would have tutors on set and they would do that stuff. And then the tutors would give the marks to the school so they could put them in and do their grades because they were all in elementary or high school, right?
Yeah.
So he kept running into Joey. He was saying how Joey was the first friend he made in Florida. So he was just there. And then Lance just kept making jokes about Joey just like hanging around the Mickey Mouse Club being like, hey, you want to be my friend? So it was pretty funny. But anyway, so he met Joey. He was his first friend, whatever. So then Lance was all like, okay, tell us all the behind the scenes.
Like, did you guys
what happened? Were you guys in relationships? Did you guys hate each other?
He was not into spilling any tea.
No.
There was no tea spilled at all.
tea.
Spoiler
He
alert.
was like, I'm going to plead the fifth here.
JC was like, we were kids. We were excited to be singing and dancing on TV. So
Yeah. He's like, we were just singing and dancing for hours, and it was the best thing ever.
he's like, there was no drama. He's like, the drama happened. And he's like, I didn't even find out about this till years later. It happened in the parent room. So I guess when you have kids, the parents are allowed to be on set as the guardian. So they would be hanging out. He said it was like dance moms and be like, oh, your kid messed up that line, or blah, 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 I should get a solo. Like, So he said it was more like that. And then he was talking about Kids Incorporated, which was another show. So they were on right after that. So there was some like mix of people. I think he said Tiffany was on Kids Incorporated and some other. So like they kind of knew some people there. And then he started talking about full circle moments. So he said, full circle moment in Vogue, there was somebody named Rona Bennett was on the Mickey Mouse Club with them. So In Vogue was his first concert he'd ever gone to. And then now she is actually part of In Vogue. So I guess she replaced a member or something on tour. So he's like, oh my God, that was my first concert. Then I ended up working with this girl and now she's doing this thing. So he's like, ooh, full circle moment. And
Beautiful.
then his other full circle moment was Richard Marx. So when he auditioned for the Mickey Mouse Club, he sang Right Here Waiting for You, which is a Richard Marx song. So that got him on the show. And then eventually they ended up working together with him with Promise, which I'm assuming is This I Promise You. With NSYNC. So then Richard Marx, you know who Richard Marx is?
No, I don't.
Yeah, yes you do.
I know who the other guy. I know the Swedish guy.
He's a musician. The biggest song is Right Here Waiting for You.
Okay, well I know that song.
We're waiting for you.
I know that song. Yes.
Anyways. He's a talent. He sometimes plays at the casino in Niagara Falls.
What?
I don't know. He's a big artist. He has lots of songs.
I'm supposed to know that?
I'm pretty sure we've talked about Richard Marx before.
Okay.
But now you're making me crazy and I can't remember anything that he has done.
I don't remember.
He's a singer-songwriter. So
I believe you.
He wrote This I Promise You for NSYNC. And him and JC are still friends to this day. So that's like for full circle. If it wasn't for Richard Marx, he wouldn't have been on Mickey Mouse Club. And if he wasn't on the Mickey Mouse Club, he would have been in NSYNC. And then
I guess that's a good point. Yeah.
Right? So
I guess another full circle moment was him and Justin were really close. And then they became together in NSYNC.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
For sure. So after the Mickey Mouse Club ended, JC went to LA to do some stuff. And then he's like, I'm 18 years old. I should go to college. I don't know why I'm making a voice like that. It doesn't sound like that at all.
That's not a college voice, but okay. Yes.
I'm going to college. Anyway, so I guess he was going to college back home in Maryland. But he still had some time. So he's like, on my way home from LA, let me stop in Nashville. Because Robin Wiley, who was their vocal coach, and arranger and stuff, she was there. So she had worked with them on the Mickey Mouse Club. So he stopped by to see her, and then she's like, you should record some shit. And he's like, what the hell? I got time. And she's like, well, I'm working with Justin, so whatever. So Justin was living in Memphis, which is about 3 hours from Nashville. So he was there. So then when Justin came in, then JC and Justin started like writing stuff together and vibing because obviously they'd been on the Mickey Mouse Club for years together. So then Justin's like, you don't start school yet. Come live with me in Memphis. And he's like, okay. So like Justin's parents gave him his own bedroom, and then him and Justin were like making music together and stuff.
That wouldn't happen nowadays.
No, just
strange.
But this is a thing apparently that happens, because remember when we went to the 98 Degrees Christmas thing? Ryan Cabrera just started living with Ashley Simpson.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So I'm just like, you got an extra room? Sure, come in and become a musician. Like,
wow. Yeah, after 2 days or whatever it was.
Yes. Randomly off topic, but did I send you that thing about the olden days? No. So it was talking about rich people in the olden days, and how if you're rich, you had to open your house up to like visitors and stuff.
That's mandatory.
It wasn't like, like a Bridgerton-y type time period. Then you would have like the count of whoever. So other celebrities, because they wouldn't stay at a hotel, they would stay with these other rich people. So it was just like, and then you'd have to feed them and stuff because like they didn't have like cars or stuff. So they would be at your house for a long time and stuff. Right. So it was like your status. But then they would say there were these other like random wacky people that would just come in. Some people actually made like a living out of just like living at other celebrities' houses and stuff. So this is what it kind of reminded me of.
Oh, interesting. Like, okay. I can see that.
I'll see if I can find that thing.
Couch hopping or whatever that.
Pretty much. It's like couch hopping, but it's just like, it's like the uber rich just kind of do this thing. Like I just watched that Harry and Meghan thing and they were staying at, oh my God, I can't remember who it is. Some random actors like other house when they moved to LA for
something Perry.
Yeah, Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Yes, Tyler Perry's like, here, I have this house I'm not using. Go live in there for a bit and hide from the paparazzi. So I just think it's kind of interesting. It must be nice to be rich.
Yes.
Nice.
It must be nice to know people.
Yeah, there was. Do you remember that Netflix show where like it was that lady who was like a con artist, but she pretended to be like an heiress?
Anna Delvey.
Anna Delvey. She did the exact same thing. She would like stay with all the rich people, like because they I have an extra room, blah blah blah. Interesting.
And then Lance is also working on a movie about this guy in Palm Springs that stayed at this hotel and pretended he was like this big famous guy, and then they had parties all the time and stuff. And then at the end of the summer, when he was supposed to pay his bill, he like took off, and it turned out he was like homeless or something.
Obviously, yeah.
And it just kind of that's interesting. So yeah, there you go. You know what? If you have enough confidence, go live places. Go
live in a rich guy's house.
Anyways, I don't think that's the case. I think they just had an extra room in Justin's house. So there you go. Yeah. So then they were kind of like going back and forth to Nashville and working with Robin. Then JC's like, okay, gotta go to school. So he ended up going to school, literally just got home. And then Justin called him and you're like, yo, this weird guy named Chris called. He didn't call him weird. I'm calling him weird because I can. And he says that he wants us to.
Oh, and we just lost the two girls. Okay, well, hopefully they come back.
Sorry, I pressed a button.
I'm keeping the mouse away from you.
Take the mouse away.
Okay.
Panic attack that I had just canceled this entire thing. So thank you for staying in the room, Sophia. Kudos.
I was like, okay, hopefully they come back.
Okay, sorry.
I should have wrote notes because I couldn't recall nothing.
Okay.
Thank you for not leaving the room, and thank you for taking the mouse away from me, Lydia, so I won't accidentally press a button again.
So there you go. Your arms a lot. It's okay.
I'm sorry. I'm Italian. I happen to flail. That is my jam.
Okay. Europeans, they move their hands.
We're at 51 minutes.
Okay,
so.
we're getting there. We're getting there.
All right.
Okay, so then they ended up going. So Justin's like, this guy Chris called. He wants to do this boy band. You should be in it. Let's go to Florida. And JC's like, yeah, okay. We'll go check it out. So they end up going there. Literally a day back in town, and he runs into Joey Fatone again. And Joey's like, what the heck? He's like, I thought you had left Florida. What are you doing here? And he's like, I don't know. And they said that he met him at 8 Tracks in Pleasure Island. So Pleasure Island used to be like, I guess kind of like a downtown Disney. They used to have all like the clubs and stuff for
don't look at me.
Adults. I don't know. Anyways, it's a thing. Okay. But apparently Joey. So then he's like, you left. What are you doing here? And then he's like, well, what are you doing? And then Joey was in a band with Louis Fonsi at that point. And then Lance was like, it sucked. It was a terrible band. And JC's like, really? And Lance is like, no, I didn't hear any of it, so I have no idea.
And what was the name of it? They were like something boys.
Some big boys or something.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
That's just funny.
Anyway, so then they're like, listen, we've called in Robin, the vocal coach. We've called in the choreographer for the Mickey Mouse Club. You know, you should be here looking for somebody. So they eventually convinced JC to come in. But, Joey. But then it took like a year for anything to happen. And then he had some good points. JC had some, like, he's like, you just hear lots of no's, until you hear a yes. And then suddenly you're flooded with all these yeses because people don't want to like, it's a gamble. People don't want to take a chance on they have a fear.
They don't want to be the first. They want to wait it out and see.
Exactly. Right. Yeah.
And he's like, there's no rhyme or reason. Music is feelings. People want a sure thing. And he says, you have to take risks based on your inner truth. Sorry.
Okay. Should I drink some water, please? Okay. No one in us wanted them. Germany wanted them on the plane next week.
Nobody in the U.S. wanted them.
Oh, okay.
So
these are your notes.
So Germany was like, yeah, and Lance is like, I didn't even know they had English artists in Germany or whatever. So they're like, yep. So they got signed to a record label. When I was on a plane the next week, Lance had never been to Europe before. JC and Justin, I guess, had done USO performances with the Mickey Mouse Club in Europe. So that's where they go and perform for the troops.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Which I think is kind of weird because I don't know why the troops would want to see a bunch of kids.
Dudes. Oh, yeah, that too, yeah.
I guess because it's entertainment and trying to like lift the spirits of the military. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So their first album was kind of like techno mixed with like US. They were trying to put things. So they were still trying to figure out their sound when they first started. Their first big hits came from Sweden with Dennis Pop and Max Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So there was just like
good guys.
There's a good energy there, and it just kind of like it clicked, and that was what was going to work. So what's interesting is at that time when the producers are writing these songs, they have a bunch of songs, as you know, and they pitch them to the bands.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting. Yeah.
So one of the songs.
Do you need to cough? You look like you're dying.
No, I'm not. I don't need to cough.
Okay.
So one of the songs that was pitched to NSYNC was "When the Lights Go Out,"
Mm-hmm.
which was also of the song I believe that the Backstreet Boys was also offered.
Really?
And they also passed it.
Turned it down. Yeah.
Interesting.
So that song, obviously, as you guys know, was picked up by Five. It was one of their biggest hits.
That was the biggest
It
hit.
was a great song, and yeah. And then what's funny,
I think,
is that they got Bye 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 instead.
Mm-hmm.
But Bye 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 was originally for Five.
which is very interesting.
So it's like they swapped the song. So it'd be kind of interesting to see how it would have worked. So Lance is like, it'd be really cool if there was like an album where they had like the other artists singing the song that they passed on, which would be really fun to do. I feel like that would be very expensive because of all rights and all
because
that
if Five had Bye Bye Bye, you wouldn't have cared because if they did well with it, you'd be like, oh, okay, this is normal.
Right? So
yeah.
I feel like that has happened with Backstreet and NSYNC too. I can't remember what song, but I feel like they also had something.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
like When the Lights Go is a little more raunchy, right? So
Baby,
it's very raunchy. So it's kind of like it, but that's kind of what painted Five as like kind of like a sexy UK band.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's it really makes you wonder if certain songs would not have been as popular if a different band did it.
Yeah.
Or what it would have sounded like. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's what happens though. Also, when you use like the same art writers and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So then Lance is like, JC, you're a great writer. What are some tips for writers? How do you write a song? JC gave a really great answer to this question. He said in a very creepy, soft voice that he crawls into the fetal position and cries. Then he cries some more.
Yeah.
Then he blows his nose.
Yeah.
And then he cries. And Lance was like, hey, okay. And then pretty much he said, there's no one way to do it. It's about your instincts. You know.
I think he was just like joking about that, but he says it in like a serious way that you're like, you don't know how to act, like
especially since JC doesn't do a lot of interviews or talking and stuff. So sometimes you're just like, this is some weird dry humor you got.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay.
He also had a lot of energy at certain parts, like the Mississippi part where he was just like screaming. I was like, well, okay.
Who is this man?
Did not expect
it took a lot out of him probably. And he's like, okay, that's enough.
Yes. It was good though. It was entertaining.
No, it was good. Yeah,
hear
absolutely.
him. Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree.
At the, the trailer of this where he's just like, they're out of coffee and I'm stranded here. And I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
It's like JC usually doesn't speak.
Oh, JC. Yes. So he's like, essentially when you're writing a song and you're listening to it, does it feel true? It's more about having feelings, right? So, and then Lance was saying from him, songwriting starts with the title, which I thought was hilarious because that's what playwriting starts with us. We come up with a ridiculous title for our Fringe Festival plays, and then we just write a play after that. So, so we're more of Lance's in this.
The Lance style.
Yes. So he's like, we have to write something today that's going to go about what's going on in your life today. So it's kind of like living in the moment, I guess.
Yeah, he's just like, that was another way of doing it. He's either like, it's like, okay, we got to write something. What happened to you today? And you're just like, okay, let's write a song about that. That's kind of like
I went to Starbucks and or just sit down with an instrument. JC made a TikTok.
Yes. So like they're like, oh, people have been pestering him to go back on social media. So he's like, all right, I made one TikTok. And then they're like, oh, we loved it.
They're like, oh, it's JC. It's great. So then there were some fan questions. So I was like, what's it like being a daddy or a zaddy or a silver fox daddy?
Yeah. And he was like, I don't know. Aaron's like, what? And then he's like, I adopted a dog or something.
It says it's harder to wake up in the morning. He adopted a dog.
Yeah, he's like, it's harder to wake up in the morning because I'm old. And we're like, oh my God.
Do your arms look sexy?
Yeah, well, it's like the arm. Yeah, that was the second question. Do your arms look sexy? And he's like, no.
No. Then it said, describe your perfect day. So he's like, happiness and health of family and loved ones. He's proud of what he's working on.
And then Lance was like, are we part of the loved ones? And he's like,
Yes.
Yes.
That was funny.
Then they asked if he was still using the Flowbee to cut his hair, and he said yes. So like the Flowbee, I'm pretty sure is the thing that was on
The Wayne's World?
the suck and cut.
Oh,
It sucks and
certainly
it cuts.
sucks.
So it's like almost like a little vacuum or a dust buster, and then it has like it cuts your hair, which I guess works for people who are men with short hair.
men,
So
Yeah.
so I guess
True.
somebody bought it for him as a joke, and it was like used. And then he one day he was like, "Oh, you want me to use it?" Ooh. And then he tested it out. He's like, "Oh, actually, this is pretty good." So
he's like, I'm using some used guys.
some used guys like hair cutting device.
Yeah.
So
Whatever works.
so then they were talking about how when they were in Europe, like JC always used to go to the salon and get his hair washed, and he liked that. If he wanted like
That is a
Lance
nice
to do it,
feeling.
but then they like kept messing up Lance's hair, and it was orange and weird and a comb over and stuff. This is where our notes end
because
this is where Lydia stopped listening. Sophia and I did listen some more.
Okay.
We listened to the entire episode.
It was a Beeb. It was a Beeb Bob. Which one is it called again? Bob Magazine?
Tiger Beat or Bob
Something like
or
that.
BB.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
So a bunch of that.
yeah.
So what's cute, and I think this is really fun. I'm sad that we don't have the notes for this, but so obviously go listen to their podcast. But what was cool is the thing that they want to do at the end of each episode, because they're getting boy banders on here, is that they're taking old teen magazines
Yeah.
and taking the
Interviews?
quiz at the back, the interview at the back,
Oh.
and then asking them what their answers are.
Oh.
To see if it matches.
Oh, that seems like a you idea.
And that is a good idea because I totally is. So I'm like, well, it's not obviously other people have this idea, but this is like something that I wanted to do if we ever did something like this. But so Michael was asking both of them. So he had a JC page and a Lance page. And then he was asking. So JC was having a lot of trouble with this.
Oh God.
Because he would be like, so this article was from like 1996. And he's like, okay, what's your favorite whatever? And then he's like, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, no, what was your favorite thing
At
back
this time.
then?
Yeah.
You're trying to guess if you can get what you have back then.
Oh God.
And then he's like, okay, fine, you can say back then and now, like type thing,
Yeah.
right? Which was funny because with Lance, pretty much his answers back then are still the same.
Ha!
So it was.
So that's why he was able to get him because he's like,
So
yeah,
Lance
I don't
is
have
like, yeah, my favorite movie is still Clue and this and that, and he had like other things. So it was just pretty funny. So Michael would ask the thing, and then they would like try to remember or whatever. So one of my favorite answers from JC was like, "What are your 3 hobbies?" So he said swimming, karate, and I can't remember the other one right now. It doesn't matter. It was like this.
I don't remember.
So he's like, I don't know. And he's like, well, look, he's like, karate? What the heck? I never did karate. Why would that be an answer? Like, and he was like, it was the funniest. He's like, somebody obviously filled that in for me because I don't. And he's like, swimming. Yeah, we were swimming in all the pool. I guess they were staying at a house that had a swimming pool. So we liked doing that.
Nice.
And whatever. He's like, JC's like, Lance was like, have you ever done karate before? He's like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Oh my
He's
God.
like, why would this be one of my hobbies? And he was just like, so it ended up. So it's good to know that a lot of these things are the same as they are now. And then there was like, what's your favorite food? And he's like, oh, back then I probably would have said Asian. And like, yes, it's Asian.
Oh,
And like,
finally.
whatever,
Okay.
right? So it was just like, it was funny. But I also remember Chris because I remember him like his used to be his favorite color was silver.
Mm-hmm.
His favorite food was tacos and something else. But in an interview he did like in the last several years, he was all like, oh, well, Chris, I'm making you some tacos with my silver spatula because blah, 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 like, making fun of these like Bop and BB things. But it's true. We would memorize this shit. Like Aaron Carter, what's his favorite chocolate bar, Lydia? Twix. Like other stuff. Like there'd just be like,
I don't know if it's true, but I mean,
it was probably true at the time, that day, but after that, not anymore.
But I believe 98 Degrees at the Christmas show had said that they had their board game, right? Which we have played, so go check it out. But I guess they had to fill out one of these things too, or whatever. And then as jokes, they started making up shit. And like, oh yeah, so-and-so's nickname is this. And then he's like, then it ended up in the game. And they're just like, oh, this isn't even real information.
Oh, no.
So yeah. So as us teenage girls memorized all this important information about our boy banders, half of it was wrong or made up. So you never know. But so that was a really cute segment. So go listen to that. And I think that's pretty much how it ended, was around that, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. So it's kind of like that. And so I was like, anyways, very cute, very fun interview. It was really nice to hear JC because, again, the unicorn, we don't see him that often. Yeah. And a
nice one to start us off with.
I thought it was a very good, like, bam, out of the gates. Let's have JC. Like,
I'm surprised that he was able to like lure him out with treats or something. I don't know.
With treats,
just
called him.
Well, they were saying in the beginning it was easy because Lance just had to give him a phone call.
Just had to give him a call.
That's
so there you go.
sweet.
So, so I think that went well, and it sounds like the episodes are coming out weekly.
That's better than daily, I think.
Daily, I feel like it gets a little too much of time or whatever. You know what other podcast comes out weekly?
What? Every
Boy Band.
Sundays.
What?
Right.
Really?
So check us out here, guys. Make sure you subscribe. YBANDBREAK.
Okay, very good.
That's right.
I'm like, did you say?
You were like mouthing it a little bit.
Okay, I know. I'm just like,
so
okay,
so there you go. So it sounds like a really fun podcast. Subscribe to Lance after you subscribe to us.
Yeah.
And
do both.
Do both. So fingers crossed that I go to LA next week, and hopefully I will see Lance and other stuff, and
we'll have some fun.
And if you are there at the Songs for Tomorrow event, come check me out. I'll be
please say hello to Chinzia. She is not shy. We just autographs are free.
Okay. I'm gonna try to record as much as I can. Hopefully I can. So I have to figure out how to get all this crap off my phone first, so I have space.
Very good.
But now, guys, I have this delightful portable charger.
What a battery pack?
I have one too.
It's delightful. Lydia started us on the trend.
Thank you, Lydia.
Anytime,
They're fantastic. So thank you, Lydia. So
we used that at the 98 Degrees show.
Yes, we did. Yes. So.
The Christmas show.
It was mostly 98 Degrees.
Yeah.
So all in all, I think we're good.
Anything else you think of?
No, that was great. I really enjoyed it.
Jen, any last thoughts?
I just think Lance and Michael are so fun and funny, and they like really work well off each other. So
it's good banter.
It's good banter. Obviously, they have a great marriage. I guess
from what we can see.
that way.
From what we see, because sometimes things cannot be. This can be deceiving. It
sounds fun. They obviously know all the boy banders, so it will be it'll be a fun series for sure. So
yes.
All right. Thanks for taking a break with us, guys.
Until next time.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.